you're probably familiar with it, so, but I'm just gonna do at least a quick walkthrough so that we're all on the same page. Up on this first page here is, you can see this first tab is the routing tab, and that's where you see all of your devices that are broadcast on the Dante network. You can see it as they turn on or turn off, you'll see them pop up on here. You can expand that. So on the top you have your transmitters. On the left column, it's just a matrix. You got your receivers, and you can expand those to see what you have. So we see the M7 and the Mine 16. So those are the two cards. It sees it as two different devices because they're two separate cards, but they're both coming from this M7 CL. So you got the first 16 and your second 16, giving you a total 32. And you can see the first, right now what's utilized is the first 16 or so have been labeled and set up for the personal monitoring system. And depending on what you have set up here, what this board, what you patch onto the Dante network, that'll determine what is actually, what's actually being broadcast. So why it'll be important to kind of figure out what you guys want your setup to be. What do you want your 32 channels to be broadcast from here? Is it then like we can make this all super clear. We can go through and label everything. So when you look on the Dante network, you can see, oh, this should be electric guitar. This should be a drum stem, or this should be whatever you want to, however you guys want to set it up on there. I can't dictate that for you.
Is this a master setting on the Dante? Like, or do we need to align between both services on what?
Yeah, well, that's what's going to be the key factor. If everybody's open to using the same routing, you could all just adhere to the same routing. That eliminates a certain amount of complexity, and it would just be written down, and you all kind of know when you look on here, you're all on the same page as to what's being broadcast out. So this should always be sending the same stuff, same channels out. Obviously, you can, within your show, if it's a different channel or a different thing, that's fine, but just as long as the patching actually lines up as to what it would be that you're sending out. If that doesn't work, that's totally fine. If everybody wants to have their different presets and things, the level of complexity is you got to make sure this is on the right show. You got to make sure your Dante controller is on the right setting, and you got to make sure your X32 is on the right setting with the patching. Yeah. So you got to have all three in alignment with each other. Yeah, otherwise, you could look on here and be like, well, that's supposed to be this, but I'm hearing something else because you got a different setting on here, and you're not sending the electric guitar on the electric guitar channel labeled here. You're sending your background vocal, group.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be the complex way because we are completely different.
Yeah.
So
as to what channels you want on the monitors, and as to what channels you want mixed in.
It really is. It's so different.
Okay. So. No worries. That's easy. We'll just make sure that we're then all on the same page. I think what I can help you guys kind of get it set up is make it easy on you. If you guys give me an input output list of your ins and outs, and what you would like broadcast on Dante to have available, you got to think of two things. You got to think of what your musicians and everybody on the stage want to have access to mix for their monitors, and then you got to think what you want to have access to up in that room for mixing your live stream mix. And those are the two kind of competing needs that got to share the 32 channels.
Yeah, well, actually, from my point of view, though, Cody, I don't want to waste your time from our point of view doing that, because I can do that perfectly well.
All right.
So, but from Woodbridge's point of view, that may be different. But
yeah, we're going to pretty much married to what we have right now, because we're such a small amount of inputs for what we're using. I mean, we really almost don't even fill up the 16 inputs.
Yeah.
Occasionally we might, spill over to a couple, but
Yeah.
and then
Well-
we've got the
Yeah, no worries. So all that works. If it was just a matter of simplicity, so that we could a central point in which to designate, hey, here's your presets or here's their presets. But if you're ready to go, you can totally set it up.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
just,
if I can, I've not done any preset saving as such on Dante, but if it's just a file save,
yeah, it's literally just that. It's Command S to save and Command L to load.
okay.
And so you could save a whole setting. I encourage you to label all your inputs and outputs from all the different devices as to how you'll have it patched, and then just clear your whatever your naming convention is, so that everybody kind of knows which one is which.
Yeah.
And throw it on there.
Right now, it just picks that all up from my computer. As soon as I attach my computer to the network, then it uses that as a controller.
Yeah,
so-
you could save that and
And then just bring
load
it
it
over
on
to this
whichever
machine.
computer you want, and then it'll load.
Yeah. That sounds good. If you guys are comfortable doing it, I think the big thing is helping Woodbridge come up with what do we need to come up as our baseline, and how do we get back to it if it's not there.
Yeah.
Right? So I think always it's been great that she has been putting us back on our presets, but like on Sunday, we didn't know how to go back. So we're trying to figure that out, and so we
Yeah,
we
it
just
sounded like there was some stuff being overwritten.
yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely encourage, what we should do is when you guys get your base show, that all your audio engineers start from, so gets them all their patchings correct and kind of their base point, to have that loaded on a thumb drive that's free of this machine, so that way if for some reason it does get overwritten or there was an accident or whatever, you can always
just
go
dump
back
the-
to loading your starting point again.
Yeah. And you're always kind enough to put it back for us.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the original intent, but things didn't work out quite the way I intended with your monitoring system. So
It doesn't take it back to actually see those different.
yeah, it can't see your words.
Oh, interesting.
So for whatever reason.
Just you
so-
said the labels are locally stored. Is that what it is?
well, I think they're stored in the main device, right? See, what
Because
I
it's broadcasting it to those things.
yeah. So as soon as you change any one of those, then they all change. So it has to be the server, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, the
up there
server
that's,
in there.
that's keeping that information.
Right. So that is a thing. I could familiarize myself with that device if you prefer, but basically those are all the components, like with the complexity with the changing is having presets, knowing that all your components, this guy, the Dante network, the X32, and your monitoring system, if it's taking in different channels and you want the labels to stay accurate and all the same, you're going to have to make sure that you're all using the appropriate presets that we save.
If I'm thinking on Sunday, if I'm looking at my checklist, there's potentially 4 places that we'll need to make sure it's to the right setting, right? This board, that board, the Dante, and the live mix.
But actually, I think
Correct.
what you should do though is it's reasonable for you guys to assume that after we've used your system, we put it back the way it was. So, and that's what my goal is.
Okay.
To do that. So you shouldn't have to worry.
Okay.
And you were gone
it's
for a
our
couple of
worry.
weeks, and I think that's when they
Yeah,
got
right.
No, that's good. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and both sides, the more knowledge, more power. You know,
yeah.
so the more everybody's on the same page,
You have more
the better it'll
technical
be.
expertise than I do.
So I'd like to. It sounds like you guys are pretty confident with.
Well, I am.
You are.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Is this it's a pretty straightforward kind of layout on here, and on the Woodbridge side, we'll go through and label everything, but you basically got a matrix with which you route So on this device, these are receivers. So these are your inputs, and then here's your transmitters. There's outputs. So I can say, hey, from the outputs on that are broadcast out on the M7, I want to put that into this X32 down here, and you can patch, you know, the 32 channels how you want.
It's like the
Robbie, have you ever looked at how slot 1 and slot 2 here, right? That's what it's called.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever looked at how it's routed from slot 1 and slot 2? I'm kind of learning it now.
on this.
Yeah, like so how to route a new channel to the slot 1 and slot 2 on the Dante.
I'm going to talk back, and I want to go into this. Okay, it would be outputs. Now we've got slots.
That's something that was new to me. So I don't know if Robbie, if you're
Yeah,
familiar with it.
matter of fact, that's how I ended up getting a talkback mic into
Okay.
this. So I can see that, you know, we've got well, we only have these, we're only using a couple slots, so we've got 9 through 16.
Because now we have all of slot 2 that we could leverage for maybe like passive franks. If we want to hear passive frank on the live mix, I think that would be helpful. Because sometimes Pastor Frank's talking and he says, let's go to that song, and it's not in my inner ear. Yeah. I'm not sure which song to go to.
Sorry, I just want.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, CL5 has all the.
You guys route your
built-in
master mics or your rabbi open into your inner ear?
We hadn't done because we only had 16 channels, and the 16 was used, so that wasn't an option. But now we got the 32. We can alter that.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
No, try it. You actually probably have to hit the channel.
Okay, here you go. Sorry, I said the wrong spot. So yeah, so here as you can see on any of your outputs there, that's where you can select then from your.
Yeah, right. That's base, so that would be on channel 8. And if we close this, we can look back in slot, and we see that it's in channel 8.
labels again are
slot
on the,
3. One,
on this server over here.
And